Okay, here's for my practice for today. I attempted to use all natural materials and started off using pine. I actually had like this is my bearing block for using yellow pine. Everything was yellow pine, had the yellow pine bow. I was using this as a fireboard and it kept breaking on me. I actually had a yellow pine spindle. This is another fireboard I had tried to work with, but it's decayed enough to where it kept crumbling on me. The coolest thing is I actually was using, this is Saw Palmetto that I'm using for fibers for the bowstring, which is this stuff here after I've processed it. So I didn't bring a normal Saw Palmetto branch with me. I went to a wooded area today, and just as I was practicing all this stuff, it had rained. So ended up coming home and stopped raining later. So, but anyway, these fibers are actually long enough on their own, so you just necessarily just need to twist it, tie a knot, and actually just have a little split on the end of the bow here, so that the fibers, all I did was tie a simple knot on the end and then kind of pry open the split and kind of use that as my oops, the other way, use this as my bow. And I opted to keep the other end unattached, so I actually kind of prefer, you can wrap it around your fingers a few times, or ultimately what I like is once I have it wrapped and I have another knot on the other end, and I can kind of brace that knot right up against the side of the bow itself, so it kind of holds it in place. And if you noticed, I did kind of like a hybrid Egyptian method, where you can just kind of wrap the spindle multiple times, just because the fibers were actually drying out on me. I did practice on this, or with this bowstring quite a few times, probably a good 20 efforts, including burn-ins, and I'm just amazed how well this fiber actually held up, and probably still good for several more attempts. But ultimately had to resort to this is an oak fireboard with the oak spindle. Just because any of the pine that I found today just wasn't panning out. And also, I don't know if you can see this, is a little chunk of pine sap or resin. So what I was doing was actually breaking some of this off into the divot here of the fireboard, and then taking the spindle and kind of crushing it so that it kind of blends into the fiber or the pores of the wood itself, so it helps with being like a lubricant for the fire or for the bearing block. So it's not the greatest, and I was actually having enough trouble with it to where I ended up resorting to my lucky inline skate wheel, the wheel bearing on it, primarily just because I was getting tired from so many attempts. Plus it's very humid out, so if you could see all the sweat on me earlier. And actually tried a couple of different bearing blocks, but ultimately, at least with this practice for today, what I'm most happy about is the bowstring. So to actually find natural fibers, and Saw Palmetto is all over the place in Florida, so it's easy to find, easy to harvest. It's not like I gotta come across a yucca plant or Caesar weed or some other, more reliable fibers. And this stuff is actually more durable than I was expecting it to be. So, interesting practice for today.